Welcome to another episode of Couch to Champion. This is episode 19 of the official podcast, but part 6 of Couch to Champion. I do have some unfortunate news. This will actually be the last update. I know that my race is in October, and I know in between now and October I have a whole month, really, and I could put out another one, but honestly, with everything going on right now, I just have a little too much on my plate, and I'm just deciding to kind of cap things off here. I think this is really a good time to just see. I don't think there's much more progress I can make at this point, really. I think I can in a month, in 30 days, boost a little bit more, but ultimately, I'm where I'm going to be for my race. And I'm kind of ready to end it, We've made it this far. I have been putting out episodes since February. Really been doing this since January of this year. But I think emotionally and physically and mentally, I think I'm just ready to finalize it. And this is actually a very exciting episode for me. It's a little bittersweet. I've really enjoyed this journey. It has been life-changing. It's been transformative. It's been fun, most importantly. But there's been some challenges. There's been some difficulties along the way that I've really had to conquer, and things that I've had to reflect on. And really, it just all leads up to here. So in this episode, I'm going to be basically kind of looking back at the journey and talking about some things behind it, and diving into what the future is going to hold for us on this podcast and really in the running and anything else. So stay tuned, and I've got a huge announcement at the end, so stick around for that. Let's get into it. For a long period of time, I was, exhausted mentally, exhausted physically, and I just, over that period of the winter of 2024, I kind of just stress, anger, frustration, all those things got the better of me, and I just sunk. But January 1 came, and the New Year's resolutions came, and I said to myself, I can't live this life forever. I can't live this way forever. At a certain point, you're going to have to face the reality that time is short, and what you choose to do with it is really ultimately up to you. And January 1 of 2025, I decided that I wanted to pursue a 5K. I wanted this. I wanted the journey. I wanted to revive my podcast that I had let kind of fall short and die. My purpose and my passion for it fell apart. That really is what kicked everything off. And like I mentioned earlier, I started writing down new goals, and I used what I called the 5 F's, which I think I heard on a podcast one time: faith, future, fitness, finances, family, and I added a 6, which is fun, which for me meant hobbies. And I decided to break those down and write new goals for each category, new things that I wanted to pursue. In that came the birth of the Apex Mindset podcast. This podcast, what started as the Lion's Den, what sparked as the inspiration and the motivation to help people, kind of turned into this thing that we are experiencing today, that you guys are watching today. The Apex Mindset, to me, is me. I mean, everything you see me put out on this podcast, on this channel, is things that I am passionate about, things that I'm interested in my life in a nutshell. My interests, my hobbies, my career, my focuses, my life. This is me. And I was scared to get on camera before. That fear has dwindled greatly since then, which is awesome. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect podcaster. I'm not a perfect speaker. I have faults. I have troubles. I have things that I'm not proud of. But ultimately, I wanted myself to realize that I can pursue the things that I set out to pursue. If it's in my mind and in my heart to do it, then I need to just get up and do it. And that's where the birth of the Couch to Champion really started and sparked. I saw what I wanted. I knew I wanted to run a 5K, and I knew I wanted to take people on that journey. Plus, I just needed content for the podcast, so, they help each other out, right? And man, has it been exciting? Has it been exciting? I can't say that it's been easy. I really have struggled a lot. The first couple months, I had a fire-lit plan in place, and I was thinking, if I just stick to my structure, things are going to work out. But no, they didn't. Because you can't plan for unpredictability. Looking back over the episodes these past few days, I thought it would be hard, but I figured maybe, although it was difficult, I felt like I could take it, and I had dealt with sternum, knee injuries, burnout. For a period of time there, I was slacking, didn't want to train. I overanalyzed for a long time, adopted the wrong identities. I had, thrown myself into the numbers. I even took myself completely out of the numbers and threw myself, in this limbo state of, I don't need to care anymore. Even a period of time there, I was really, really pissed off at myself, and I was rage training because I was mad at myself for not doing better. There's been so many emotions going through this, but ultimately none of that compared to the mental war that I had going on. I mean, I faced massive inadequacy. I felt like that I didn't deserve to do this. I felt like that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a runner. I wasn't this. I wasn't that. I believed a lot of very negative things. I had massive body dysmorphia. Still kind of face that, but it's not near at the level it was. I was looking at myself thinking, God, what a fat loser. What a fat loser. I tore myself apart because I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I felt like I was just doing an absolutely horrible job. And I even fell into the comparison trap, getting on social media, watching these fitness influencers, people who can run 20, 30 miles, ridiculous amounts of miles. They're just in massive shape, thinking that, why am I not there yet? Why am I not capable to do that yet? I need to be there already. This 5K is getting closer and closer, and I'm just failing, and massive disappointment. So much disappointment can be the title of this whole journey, because really that's the number one thing that I experienced. Mad at myself, disappointed in myself, disappointed in my habits, my routines, disappointed in me. And frustration and anger, even some joy on some days, and even honestly some depression. I fell back into that slump for a few times. And it's just wild. It was not anything like I expected it to be. Some days I was full of energy and motivation, and I would go out there and I would every day show up and every day get things done. And some days I found every excuse in the book to avoid it. Talking about where I started earlier, this was a really big challenge. I know 5K doesn't seem like a lot, and really honestly it's not, but this was more than just about running a 5K. From the very beginning, this was about overcoming the obstacles I had put in my own way and conquering the things that were holding me back from being the person that I wanted to be. That's why I went on this journey. I wanted to grow. I wanted to build discipline. I wanted to build confidence. I wanted to build courage. But the truth is, you don't build those things constantly sitting by the lake shore on a nice, pretty green grass, You build that and the fire, you build that and the trials and the tribulations that you go through to get to that point. And boy, did I face some trials and tribulations. I kicked off things in February, ready to go. That led me into overanalyzing, adopting the identity, getting crushed, and emotionally and my identity were crushed by the numbers not doing what I wanted them to do. And I felt, this huge massive weight of nobody giving a crap about me, nobody caring about where I'm going, nobody caring about any of this, which maybe people don't, but that became who I was. And then that led me into a huge period of burnout where I just quit. I didn't even want it anymore. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do anything, which then eventually led to me, oh, maybe I do need to do this, letting go of those things. And then getting to the point even where I got so wrapped up in the idea that I needed to win this thing that I rage trained, like I mentioned earlier. And, you can see this progression of journey is what I'm getting at. And it's just, I want everybody to know that in this last episode, I mentioned that the biggest enemy that you're going to fight is yourself. That's 100% true. Nobody stopped me. Nobody told me to feel the way that I felt. Nobody told me to do the things that I do or did. Nobody pressured me into anything. I did. I created my own problems. I was the one fighting myself the whole time. And you can't avoid that. That's part of being human. And as a Christian, I believe that the enemy even wanted me to fail. And I let him destroy me a few times. If you watch the progression of this journey from February all the way up until now, the last episode, which was in June, I was pissed at myself. This is the period of time where I said, I am tired of being a fat loser. I'm tired of being worthless. And I threw myself into this ideology that if I didn't fight myself, that I wasn't worth even stepping on that track. And it led to, some very unpleasant experiences. Some injury, some, massive feelings of depression and anger and even affected the people around me. If you notice, this episode is a whole month after, almost 2 months after that episode. That was intentional. I decided that I needed to stop. What I did was gave myself the freedom to recoup. I needed time to reevaluate what it was I really wanted, my why. And there's some things that I learned, going through these trials and tribulations and going through this journey that really, I feel like, changed my mindset, changed my heart, changed my motivation and inspiration even. But really, the one big lesson that I learned in that whole journey from January rather, to today was that the trophy doesn't matter. You watched me get mad. You watched me throw this whole crap into the ether, basically, that, you have to win. You have to want it so bad that you can taste it. You have to give it everything you've got. And you can pursue that path if you want to. And you may actually succeed. It will probably lead you to victory. I'm not even going to deny that. And if I did, I'd probably be better off than I am today. But there is always a cost. I was sacrificing my happiness and my joy for a medal. Falling into the comparison, believing that I was never going to be good enough, that if I didn't bring that trophy home, that I was worthless. And that's the reality of it. My identity was tied to winning, not tied to just the joy of running. And it crushed me. So I actually had to stop. I actually stopped training altogether. I quit running completely. I took a period of about 3 weeks, and I didn't even go to the gym. I didn't even think about running. I didn't do anything running. And part of that was a little bit of burnout, but part of that was the fact that I needed to tie my identity to something that mattered, not to winning. And let me just say this. Your time on that track is going to fluctuate. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days even. You're going to win some. You're going to lose some. But that will never be who you are. I really wrestled with this. I really did. I struggled with the identity of it. But I had to learn the hard way that you first have to love yourself. Because some days you're going to be the only one on your corner cheering you on. And that has to mean something. Who you are is not dictated by what you do, but rather what you learn along the way. The journey truly is better than the end result. I am nowhere near a perfect runner. I'm slow. My time is terrible, I'll just admit. And my training has sucked, even worse. But ultimately, it was never about impressing anybody. It wasn't even about winning. It was about becoming a stronger version of myself and committing to this journey. And I've done that. To me, that is success. If there's anything that I can give you from everything that I've done along the way, everything that I've talked about at this point, I know I've been rambling and kind of just not going anywhere with this thought process, but what I want to say is, looking back at all these episodes, watching myself get on camera and talk and discuss and talk about my training and watching my training journey and seeing the numbers, seeing the analytics of everything, it's been bittersweet. It's been motivational. It's been kind of sad, but ultimately it's been fun. And I quite literally have put my blood, sweat, and tears into this. And I know it's just a 5K, so to some people it's just like, who cares, but it was more than that to me. I overcame the old me through this journey. I overcame the part of me that felt unworthy and inadequate and got to the point where I was no longer trying to fight a war that wasn't even there, waiting for enemies to come that I've already defeated. During that period of time between last episode and this episode, I had a switch flip. I realized that joy is really, honestly, truly the root of all things. With joy also comes passion. And I had sucked every ounce of passion out of this podcast and out of this journey and out of this series. When I got to the point where I realized that that's what I was doing and I stopped doing it and let it go for a while, I found passion again. I started rekindling old flames that I didn't even remember existed, part of those being my passion for art. I draw, I paint, I make music, and I've started doing that again, bringing those things back into my life. If you go on my social media, you can see some of that. I also have a website, artbyethanp.com. You can go there and you can even buy some of this stuff if you want to. But for me, it's just the joy of doing it again, getting back into it, and it's been so freaking rewarding. I love drawing. I love creating art. I love art, period. I just love the creativity and the passion behind it. And I've put myself back into that position, and it's driven me to feel passionate about doing this again. And I even relaunched my old artist community group called Paper Tide. If you go on my Facebook or my Instagram, you can watch the trailer for it. Bringing people together has always been something that I've been driven to do. I am not a people person, but I love people. And I love the art that brings people together. I love art. I am a creative individual. That is, if any gift can be labeled, that is a gift. I am creative. Creativity is my passion. But my identity is that I am a child of God. That is my identity. That is who I am, deep down. And when I started really, understanding that and living that, life just got easier. And we're never going to know where we're going in this life. We're never going to know what we're doing until we start doing it. But if there's one thing I learned, it's that when you line up what you want to do with what He wants you to do, you're going to be happy. You're going to find joy. You're going to find passion. And let me just tell you this. If you're not sure what that is, do what you love doing. Just do what you love doing. Because ultimately what you love doing is who you are. Is the direction He wants you to go in. Stop fighting who you are. Stop fighting what you want to do. Just do it. If you want to be a competitive runner, run a competitive race. Join a 5K, join a 10K. Do what you're passionate about. If you want to be an artist, create art. I do what I love to do professionally, I do what I love to do creatively, and I do what I love to do physically, which is run. When you do what you love to do, you realize that passion comes from the joy of doing what you love to do. And ultimately, I was learning all this during my break, so to speak, and understanding that this whole series, this whole couch to champion journey, has been me just understanding this and been watching me discover this thought process. And I've had a blast. And I'm not ready for the race physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, what I do know is that I have earned my place on that starting line. I am a runner. I'm there. I made it. And that's something worth being proud of. I'm not, 175 pounds like I would have liked to have been. I'm not running a 20-minute 5K like I would have liked to be. I'm not probably going to I will probably get smoked terribly by half the people there, but one thing holds true is that I'm going to show up October, and I'm going to get on that starting line, and I'm going to finish that 5K, and I'm going to do it with full confidence, knowing that everything that I've done leading up to this point has brought me there. That crossing of that finish line is my reward. That is my way of saying, you did it. Good job. Pat myself on the back because it took work to get there, and I have succeeded. And I'm proud of that. And you should be proud of where you're at. If you're still in the journey, if you're still working on it, keep working on it. Be consistent. That's one hard thing that I still struggle with, but ultimately you just need to keep going. It's going to get hard. It's going to get difficult. Life's going to throw curveballs at you every chance it gets, but it's how you come back from those curveballs. When you get knocked down, do you get up or do you just stay down? I've done both. Through the same journey, I've done both. But more reward has come from getting back up. Learn from your mistakes, adapt, and conquer. Rise, pursue, and conquer. That's what that means to me. That's why I put it on a t-shirt. That's why I say it at the end of every episode. That's ultimately my life's mantra. Get up, rise to the occasion, rise past your doubts and fears, pursue the things that you want to pursue. Pursue your life, pursue your dreams, pursue your motivations, your career, pursue whatever you want to be pursuing. But pursue means stay consistent. Don't give up, don't quit, don't ever think that you're not worth the time and the effort. Because I promise you that everybody that you see around you that looks like they have made it, only made it because they stayed the course. Pursue and conquer. Conquer is the biggest one of them all. Conquer means you succeeded. Conquer means that you showed up on that track and you ran the 5K. Conquer does not mean that you did it exactly how you planned it out in your head at the beginning of the journey. Conquer does not mean that you did it perfectly. Conquer means you did it. Despite your fears, despite everything that told you not to, you did it. You made it. You accomplished it. Conquer means that you can be proud of yourself for the success that you brought through consistency and through work and through diligence and through discipline. Conquer is not the end of the journey, though. Conquer just means that you've capped off this period of time, and there's always more room to grow. I encourage that you grow more and more and more. Don't ever stop growing, because there's so much more to learn. We're never going to, in this life and in the next, we're never going to stop learning. Life is always going to be a great mystery, and we're never going to get it right because we're human. So enjoy the passion of learning, like I am doing now. So moving on, what's next for me? I've kind of talked a lot about where it started and now, and how hard it's freaking been. But today, where am I at today? From August to September on to even October, what's it look like? What's going to happen? Training-wise, I'm actually doing the Garmin Coach Plan. So with my Garmin watch came the ability to not only bind but track down the actual race I'm racing, save it, and then have a coach prep me for it. My Garmin coach is Coach Greg, and what that basically means is I no longer plan my workouts. My watch does. And honestly, that's been a huge relief. I've noticed that if it's not obvious already, I don't know what I'm doing. Even after 6 months of being in it, I still don't know what I'm doing. But having someone, a coach, to do the legwork for you, to plan things for you, it's been refreshing. And it's really helped me actually stay on track, because I'm not thinking about how I need to do this or how I need to do that, knowing that I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody that does know what they're doing is doing that for me, and I am just really giving myself the freedom to think of other things but stay consistent. That's one thing I will say. I do showing up. That is 100% my job, and I do consistently. I've stayed consistent. Good day, bad day, I'd show up. I make it to the gym if I can. Life gets in the way sometimes, but it's all right. I do what I can. If it's a 30-minute workout, great. If it's a 5-minute workout, great. The point is that I show up and move my body, and I need to do that. I have been doing that, and it's been great. It's going to make a huge difference in your life physically and mentally when you decide to just move your body for however long you can, however often you can, and stay consistent. Just do what you can do consistently. Second thing I've been doing is nutrition. Big deal. I've been on a low-carb, high-protein, no sugar diet, and I can already tell a huge difference. I'm not a skinny twig like I used to be when I was in my early 20s, but, I'm going to but I've started to kind of just accept the fact that I've grown up, and I'm not a spry chicken anymore, and I'm just going to have to do what I am able to do, but do it to the best of my ability. But what I intake is going to affect what happens. Really, I feel healthy again. I really do. I think clear. I feel like mentally the fog is starting to be lifted, and not everything can be tied to food, but a lot of it can. Food really is ultimately fuel. It's fuel for your brain. It's fuel for your body. Your brain runs off what you put in your gut and what you see and taste. It runs off of the five senses. And if you feed it well, if you intake well, it's going to run well. If you intake garbage, it's going to run like garbage. And making the decision to eat right has made everything easier. I'm not dealing with the injuries that I was dealing with. I feel my body and my bones and my joints getting stronger, my gut getting stronger, my brain getting sharper. I just feel better. So taking the time, it's hard. It's very difficult. There's a lot I can't eat. But taking the time to be observant of the things you're putting in your body, just looking at the labels, or, if you don't need it, you don't need it. I'm not saying don't kill yourself. I think it's okay to live a little, but, be cognizant and aware of what you're doing, what you're putting in your body. That's really it. That's really all I'm doing lately. That's the last two things. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way up until the race in October. And just, enjoying the life that God has given us, enjoying the time that we have, because really you don't know how much time you have. And I'm blessed and honored that I'm still here. I did have a friend that didn't make it this far. And maybe part of me is doing it for him, living the life that he didn't. But if that is the case, then I need to live it well. And I need to do it right as best I can. And honor the hard work and commitment that it takes to just wake up every day and want to be here. So ultimately, all of that, capping it off and wrapping it up to just say, I've been there, I've been high, I've been low, I've been in the middle. Every month in this journey, every day in this journey has been a challenge. It's been good challenges and bad challenges. Some I've wanted, some I didn't. Everything has prepared me to run this race. But ultimately, this documentation, this Couch to Champion, this series was not about the 5K. It was about the days leading up. And I guess my final message in this series to everybody out there who's still in the thick of it is don't give up. It's going to suck. Life really sucks sometimes. And, honestly, like I mentioned, there's been multiple times I wanted to give up and quit and throw in the towel, stop recording, stop doing the podcast, stop doing everything. And it took a lot to dig myself out of the hole that I put myself in. And even from the last episode till now, understanding that winning isn't everything. Showing up is everything. Showing up has built where I am today, built the man sitting here in front of you talking today. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. I don't have all the, everything right. I definitely don't have everything together. But I'm trying more and better than I did when I started. That's success. Growth is success. That's what I wanted from this podcast. That's what I wanted from this series, and that's what I got. Growth also means difficulty. But rise up, pursue and conquer. Rise, pursue, and conquer. I'm telling you. You live that way, and you realize that the only one standing in your way is yourself. If you need to take time sometimes to stop and smell the roses, then do it. And don't let anybody get mad at you for it. Don't let you get mad at you for it. I had to quit running completely to realize how much I love it. I want to say thanks for being part of this journey. If you've actually followed along and you've watched start to finish all the way up to this point, thank you. You know, this took a lot of effort and emotional effort even to put out. You know, it took some time. It took, you know, hours out of the day, literally weekends to put these episodes together, to, you know, record, edit, publish these episodes, and even time, like I said, to train for this 5K. But if you've been a part of this journey, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of it. I appreciate it. You know, I hope you learned something from it. I hope you enjoyed watching me. I've enjoyed watching my journey. I've learned a lot, and there's still more to learn. But I'm sad to see it go. I'm sad to cap everything off here in this last episode of Couch to Champion. It's been fun. It's been great. But like I mentioned earlier, if you made it to the end, I appreciate it. If you skipped, it's all right too. It's all good. I understand. But I have a huge announcement to make. As I'm sure you can all assume, this is not going to be my last race. In fact, this is actually this 5K training has kickstarted a new passion for me and a new mission. I want to run a marathon. 5K to marathon's a big jump, but I'm giving myself time. So starting in November, I am starting up a new series called 26.2 Project. And that's going to basically do exactly what this did. It's going to document my training from the beginning all the way up until I run the marathon. It'll be the BMW Dallas Marathon in December of 2026. I'm so excited. It's going to be multiple races actually leading up to that. So my next race is going to be the Monahans Sandhills State Park Run in Monahans, Texas, next year, around January, I believe. And if it lets me, I'm going to do a 10K. If it doesn't, I'm going to do the 5K again. But I'd like to be doing a 10K. And then after that will be the Dallas Skyline Half Marathon. And then after that will be another 5K, still to be determined, but there will be another 5K after that. And then I've got a 20-mile simulation run, which I will record and share with you guys. And then that'll be all prepping for the very big grand finale, which is the 26.2 miles of brutal Dallas Marathon. So I would love for you guys to stick around for that journey. I'm very excited to do it. It's going to be better than this series, I think, and you know, this 5K training has kind of kicked that off. So really, in my opinion, this is just the start of my marathon training. But a marathon's a big task, and not a lot of people pursue that. Not a lot of people accomplish that. But I'm, like I did on the beginning of this episode or this series, I'm going to announce that I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to finish it. Ultimately, the goal is to finish. And I hope that I learned so much more, and knowing, you know, how everything I've dealt with on this journey, I know it's going to be a bear to accomplish, but I'm ready to cross that off my bucket list. I'm ready to say that, you know, I'm a marathoner. I'm ready to be there. And every race leading up to that point is just going to be another success, another badge of honor to wear. You know, to say that I earned this, and it's going to be exciting. So stick around, make sure you follow along. It's going to be a bittersweet ending to this, but I've poured so much into it. But I'm ready for the next chapter. I'm ready for the 26.2 project, and I hope you guys are ready too. So as always, stay motivated, stay encouraged, never stop chasing greatness. Rise, pursue, and conquer. Stay the course. I'll see you guys in the next series. This is Ethan Peel, gone from couch to champion, shutting the book on this series. I'll see you guys later on.